So I was listening at, well, first of all, let me tell you thank you for inviting me to be a part. But second, I wanted to say that I was listening to you and Christy and some of what the other lady, I can't remember what her name was.
Beth?
Yeah, what she was saying and what you and Rhonda were saying. And you were talking about self-love. And I was saying, like, that, like, is the key to it all, to being successful in life, to being successful in relationships, to being successful in finances, to be successful in everything that we do. Because when we learn to love ourselves, then we'll learn to put things in a whole different perspective. Or as relationships, you won't settle for anything less than what's best for you. And what's best for me might not be what's best for you, because everybody got their own best. You have to know what that is in order to get it. You know? Think about that, and I was just thinking that's why we go have sex with people. I heard you talk about the internet and dating, and the internet dating, and all of those.
That's what I was talking about. Social, what is it? Online dating. That's it.
Yeah, that's what they do. They on the internet looking for, I don't know what they call love, and I just think if you're on the internet, you're looking for a relationship. You're looking for a relationship, not just a hookup. But that's what most people are on there for, a hookup. And one, I tell all my friends, because I haven't shared my story, because probably a lot of your viewers or listeners probably already know my story, and I'll tell a little bit about it. But most of it, I tell my friends, if you're not going to allow anything else, at least allow knowing me make you use protection when you're going to have sex. I'm not trying to tell you don't do it. Do your thing. If that's what you want to do, go do your thing. But at least allow knowing me, knowing that you have somebody in your life that is HIV positive. Allow that to be your reason to love yourself. Allow that to be your reason to have a conversation. Because while we know HIV is not, it is 100% not curable. It is definitely 100% preventable. We have conversations with our, whoever we're going to have sex with. Discuss condom usage. Is we discuss, have you had any STDs? Have you been tested? Those things are required in life. Because I say it all the time, while I am HIV positive and was being positive, that don't necessarily mean a thing, because I have 3 kids. 3 kids, no marriage. Guess what that means? I had sex at least 4 times, right? At least 4 times in my life. And I don't know, and actually, believe it or not, I don't know any virgins. I don't know any virgins. Yeah, maybe
Ain't none of my friends.
I don't know any virgins.
Yeah, let's just
be real. I don't know any virgins. And because people say sex bad, but we know it ain't. We know that's a lie.
It's great when it's done right.
It's the bomb. It is like,
that's right.
But you have to be responsible with that. You have to have conversations. You have to be able to ask those questions.
In your life.
Yep. Especially now in this pandemic. Can you imagine how many people sitting around doing what they do?
Online dating.
Yeah. Wait a minute. But creeping to your house to have sex with you because ain't nothing else to do, ain't a whole lot of places to go, or I don't really want to go to a lot of places. So therefore, we're doing what we
that Netflix and chill going down right now.
We doing the doggone thing. We doing the doggone thing, and so in my mind, but ain't nobody remembering. I should have stopped by Target. I should have stopped by Walmart. I should have stopped by the side store to give me some condoms because they worried about getting it in.
They took orders from Amazon.
Exactly. They will deliver as many as you want to pay for. as many as you want to pay for, and you can getting all you want to get. But I want people to just understand that babies are not the only thing that are at risk when you're having unprotected sex. HIV and other STIs like chlamydia and and just you name it, herpes and yeah,
Herpes.
herpes and syphilis and all the other things that the and you know how the us in the old day the clap.
Look, I know what I identified with. It was the clap.
I don't know, but hey,
What the clap name for?
that's what we used to say though. Y'all ain't never say that.
Yeah, we said the clap, but I still ain't never identified what we talking about. The gonorrhea, the clap, gonorrhea, it's gonorrhea.
Is it?
The clap. I heard before, but I ain't known it, but I ain't know what they're talking.
Is that what that is? Oh no,
It's
I
gonorrhea.
don't know. If you say so, I don't know.
I mean, listen, it got the crabs. What they used to call crabs?
I don't know what that was either.
The itchy scratches. Now you get that, and then if the hair touch the other hair, so y'all gotta make sure you both clean.
Skin as well, so it don't. It almost doesn't matter. You have to decide. You know, like I said, May 8th, 2001, I was raped, and I almost don't even really tell that now because it's irrelevant. And is the minute I say it, people kind of excuse themselves.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It is relevant because you were sexually abused.
Of course, but
You were violated.
of course, and it depends on who I'm talking to. Most of the time, it's really relevant when I'm one on one with somebody. I want them to understand, especially young girls. I want them to understand all this loose stuff that you're doing. Setting yourself up for that. Now, nobody deserves to be raped. Nobody deserves to be beat. Nobody deserves to be any of those things. But it happens. And I'm not saying that you are the reason for it, but sometimes you can set yourself up for it because men have a tendency to think, oh, she asked for it. And it's really just, and they think you're asking for it because it's really just how you're carrying yourself. I really ought to be a walk around if I want to just be half naked and wear a thong and a bra. I ought to be able to and not be touched. But we know that that's not true. Because every
Right.
man that see me thinking she want me. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the complete opposite thing though. Women will go around being half naked and you assume she wants you.
Can just walk by and say hey, and they assume you want them. It's some psychos out here in the world. It's some
Yeah,
that just
yeah.
feel like she want me because she looked at me. And God knows the social media and them folks sending me messages, DMs. I get so sick of that. I don't know what to do.
Won't they send them pages and facts in the
Oh my
pictures?
God, child.
They gonna send the facts right to the DM. My DM had the nerve to tell me that it's for privacy. I had to click the extra button to see somebody's unwanted penis. I had to do all this. I didn't ask for it in the first place.
So guess what? You ain't got to send it to me, but that's the way it is. And guess what? Half of them know I'm positive. They don't care. But positive doesn't mean I can't be in a relationship anyway. It just
Right.
simply means that I am aware. And in Georgia, it's again, I don't know about Mississippi, but in Georgia, it's against the law to be HIV positive and have sex with somebody and not tell them that you're positive.
In Mississippi, I don't think it is illegal. If anybody from Mississippi, in Mississippi, I think it is illegal to purposely spread HIV.
Know how you constitute. I know that there are crazy people, but how you constitute purposely spreading.
Well, I have a close family member. We talked about it, and I've since found out he's a narcissist, 100%, and he has been purposely spreading HIV.
How do you prove that? Unless
Oh,
he one of them idiots that
numbers,
that
numbers.
go online and say and it was one story. This guy said, "I'm going to infect everybody, as many women as I can." Well, you got your proof because you were stupid enough to go online. But how do you prove that? Now, I'm this person that while I don't agree with that law, and I don't agree with that law because it has been proven that if you're undetectable, you're untransmittable. And for the person who's not positive, then they're saying oh, well, you just saying that because you want somebody to have sex with you and you don't have to tell them. No, that's not true. I would never I don't care if it was herpes. I would never have sex with somebody and not tell them that I have whatever it is that I have. At the end of the day, if I'm undetectable, then I'm untransmittable. It is no longer the death sentence that you made it out to be. So why am I going to jail? Because the truth of the matter, the way the law is worded, and I'm not saying there shouldn't be some law. There should be a law, but not the one that is in place. And the one that's in place, if a police officer came to my house right now, say I'm resisting, and he punched me, if I don't yell to him, better yet, no police officer don't have to come. If you come to my house and you punch me, and I don't yell to you that I'm positive, and then you find out your girlfriend said, "Oh, girl, you know she HIV positive." You can go press charges against me because you punched me. I bled. You get what I'm saying? So that law is crazy.
That is crazy. So do you have to press charge that they assaulted you?
Well, at this point, they don't care that they assaulted me. I should have yelled, "I'm positive," before you hit me. Who the hell thinking about, excuse my French, who's thinking about you hit me and yelling, "I'm positive"? I'm thinking about you just hit me, and I'm really thinking about how I'm gonna kill yourself, kill you. I would like to say something else, but I'm trying to, yeah, I'm thinking about how I'm gonna do that to you. How I'm gonna mess you up because I love Jesus, but I ain't going to Jesus right now.
Let me tell you something.
But I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do next.
Pastor Beth is a warrior, not me. I'm not a
Yeah,
warrior.
yeah. So I can't see. So I agree that the law is jacked up, and I think that it puts a lot of people in a lot of really really bad situations. Because I mean I've seen times where girls have had to write up contracts when they meet a person and say they are ready to engage in sex. They write up contracts so that the guy won't go say, because that leaves. If I tell you that I ain't gay, okay, but you were a man, we gonna have sex, and you decide, I don't know, 6 months later you don't like me, you can go and press charges and say I had sex with you and I didn't tell you. Right? It is my word.
Oh yeah, I don't have to prepare a contract.
So contract needs to happen so you can stay safe. Because otherwise you
Yeah,
subject to go to prison. And for what?
that deep.
I think the law should be changed. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a law. As for instance, your family member, if he's running around doing stupid stuff, then go to jail. Because one, anybody that he give it to, if they get on medication, it's not a death sentence. If I feed you a ton of pork chops and 5 baked hams and some tenderloin and fried chicken and all that stuff, you ain't going to press charges on me for giving you high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol, are you? Right? But
Right.
I did it because I gave you all this good stuff. Why would a person be able to do that to me? You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah.
for that, as you would say, that narcissist person who's thinking only about themselves and who decides, I just want to give, yeah, go your butt to jail. Yeah, you need,
Oh, listen. Now you definitely have to be careful
yeah,
in that case because they live to break
but
you. They will go to the end of the world to hurt
guess
you.
what this goes back to? It circles right back around to that self love. To where because you know what? I say this. When you meet a person, we always say it, we meet their representative. You know, and you're able to uphold that for a little while, and we're able to believe it for a little while. But when you love yourself, your signs start showing quicker than you can imagine. And once those things start showing, that's when you decide, you know what? I'm seeing things I really don't like. I'm seeing, behaviors and mannerisms that don't coincide with me. So I'm
Right.
because this ain't for me. So you don't even ever give them time. I pay attention to everything,
Everything.
everything. Because one, why you can't give me HIV? One, I got to be careful to make sure you don't get it. So I'm gonna make sure I take my medicine. That's the first thing. But second, I want to see your mannerisms. I want to see how you act, how you talk when you get mad. what everything that you do, because what I won't do is be bullied into staying with you, because that's really what it boils down to. Some men
Right.
bullying women, they talk down to them, they mistreat them, they do all of those things, and she's still there.
That's that ride or die mentality. And we have to get rid of
Guess
that.
what? If you had that same ride or die mentality for you, I love me. So you start seeing any sign, you like, hey, deuces.
Right. And some of them you can't even hang up the phone in my face. I feel that's
Oh
disrespectful.
yeah, none of that. We can't do no. I'm not gonna be
I just feel he hung up on me.
I can't
Yeah.
disrespect it in no kind of way. And if you petty in that way, because I just believe at this age, I'm over 50. Didn't you say your mom? What you say say your mama was?
56.
Yeah. I ain't quite old as your mama, but I promise I ain't far. Look, I ain't far, and I will not be this 50 nothing acting like a 13-year-old. I would not be 50 nothing. I got two grown kids. I won't be that, acting like they ain't even acting. And
Right.
I got three grown kids, but I'm talking about two grown boys. I won't be acting like that. So I refuse to, because I learned to love me. And in loving me, I learned to have the important, pertinent conversations. Now, prior to being diagnosed, I didn't. I met a guy, he was handsome. I met a guy, he drove a nice car. I met a guy, he told me I was cute, he dressed nice, he took me to nice places. So guess what? I dated him. Was he good for me? One of them beat my tail. Oh
Really?
my God, he was horrible to me. He was my daughter's father was horrible. I used to have to get the police to go home with me if I went to the club. I had to get the police to go home with me because he would break. I paid for so many windows in my apartment because he would be sitting in my house. Because when you know your house, you don't have to cut lights on. So I open the door. I don't have to cut the light on. I know if I turn to the right and then turn to the left, I'm going up the steps. I'm walking up the steps. All I know is somebody grabbing me by my hair, dragging me back down the steps. It's him. Beat my tail. So I used to have to get the police to go home with me. I remember we broke up. I remember going on a date with a guy who was a DJ. He was in Leeds, Alabama. Oh, have mercy. We was in Leeds, he DJing, and they told him to tell announce that somebody wanted Kim Moon at the door. He was like, Kim Moon, you want her at the door. Who is that? I'm like, I don't know. I go to the door to tell the person at the door I'm Kim Moon. Time I said it, he came from the way, because he didn't pay to get in. He was standing outside the door. He came, stepped in that door, and quickly had a gun in my head and pulled me out the door.
They didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was the whole point. You shoot her, we gonna kill you. Yeah, that's how that went. He went on about his business, but I'm saying like I've been there. I've been there with all of that. And so while I can't brag about being raped and getting HIV, I still have to say I had sex with men. Some of them were crazy. I had children by men, but my son's father. We have a great relationship, but we didn't work for each other. You know what I'm saying? I felt like he was selfish. He felt like I was mean. I know what you want to. I'm not. I just will not be talked to any kind of way. I will not be
Right.
overlooked. I will none of those things. This is what I require. This is what I want in life. This is what I want for me.
Right.
You don't like it, we don't work.
My cousin just explained to me how one man my baby dad beat me up. He said, "You don't remember he tricked you to come to the top of that street and he beat you up and you came back home crying." I said, "Well, I sure did."
And you forgot.
I said, "I remember what I did too, cause I'm 16. I did what those 10-year-olds do. I called that other girl he was talking to."
Yeah, right. But see, guess what I would not today. I ain't calling that another woman.
Girl, I got too much pride.
Lady calling me, asking me. She said, "Are you sleeping with my husband?" And I said, "Hey, look, let me help you out. Let me just help you out." I said, For future references, don't you ever call a woman and ask her if she's sleeping with your husband. Check with your man first. That's the first thing. But second, you just gave me the power, and y'all please forgive my language. I said, you just gave me the power to fuck your whole world around. Because you done already made it up in your mind before you ever picked up that phone to call me to see if I did it. I said, so therefore, the way you gave me the power was this. If I say yes, I just messed you up.
You gonna melt.
Yeah, I just messed you up. If I say no, you gonna hang up saying she lying. I know she is. So why you call the woman?
Cause when I had one call me, he FaceTime me.
Girl,
I answered the FaceTime. I said, hello. He said, hey, how you doing? I said, hey, boo, how you doing?
right.
Instantly. She wanted to talk, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a friend of mine. I said, but he in love with you. He talk about you all the time.
I ain't even give her none of that. So she still walked away guessing because, don't give nobody that power. That is giving somebody power over you. And if I got to be worried that he's doing something, then I don't need to know. He ain't for me. Because I believe it.
I just don't want to hurt her feelings.
But any man, see, I didn't hurt her feelings one way or the other. I just gave her some advice that was going to help her. Because guess what? If he was dating you or somebody else, you didn't help her. We are our sister's keeper, right?
So what if he don't love me? He done called the number for
But
nothing.
if you're that jealous, then you don't need to be there. You need to
Right,
go find you somebody else or go get you some help with your jealousy.
right,
You ain't. I mean, if I got to do that, then something either has happened or I got some issues.
right. Going through that phone line. I guess my number look like a good number to call.
Well, guess what? Then guess what? I ain't going through nobody's phone. I'm not doing any of that. I ain't looking through your phone. I'm not doing any of that because at the end of the day, guess what? He's still gonna do what he wanna do.
Anybody gonna do what they want to do with what they got. You know what they say? If it ain't attached to you, you can't control it.
That's just the way it goes. You know, I think at the end of the day, we as women, we need to love ourselves. We need to get tested. And if you having sex with multiple men, I ain't telling you it's right or wrong. You want to make sure you using protection in your, friskiness of doing it.
I hear,
That's,
I hear all the grown folks
yeah,
stuff.
you live that risky lifestyle, then guess what you do? Go and get you some condoms. And when he go to Holland, he ready to have sex. This what you got to do. He this or that. They got some really good condoms out there. You know what I'm saying? Get you some of them. Use them. I say it all the time. I got a T-shirt that says one reason, and the condom one. That's who made that T-shirt for me,
Okay.
and it just says one reason, and it's a red heart in the middle of one, and then reason on the other side. And the bottom line is this: you need one reason to love yourself, one reason to have that conversation, one reason to decide. It's either what the people say, no love, no glove. One reason to demand that you get tested, just one. And you know what that one is for me? Me. Now, one
Right.
reason might be something different. A long time ago when I was first diagnosed, I was depressed. 10 years of depression. But I functioned. I was how people be functioning alcoholics. I was a functioning depressed person. I
I've been there too.
right. And more
In the building. I'm in the building. I ain't really not in the
more
building.
than we know is so many of us just like that. We function depressed. And I was depressed, but I functioned. But I took that pill every day because my kids was my one reason.
Right.
My kids was my one reason. Then I came out of depression. I partnered with pharmaceutical company. They started sending me all over the world, traveling, speaking, and guess what? The people that I was helping became my one reason. You know, and then now it's just I decided I'm my priority. So I'm my one. I take care of everything. I have it. If a man try to date me, I need to know what do you think about HIV? This is before I tell him I am. What do you think about HIV? What you think about using condoms? We say, I want to know that. How many kids you got? How many baby mamas you got? Those things might not be the most important, but to me, the most important question is, have you ever had any other STIs? Because if you don't have, if he start hollering, yeah, I had not herpes, but what is it? What's the one that you can take the medicine
Real.
and stuff that you can cure? Then check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you living a risky lifestyle. I ain't about that life. Mm-mm.
Make sure you ask them who raised them though. You know, find out where they come from. Who raised them? One dude, his granddaddy raised him. And then I think I said something. I was being funny and I was like, boy bye something in a conversation. And he texted me back and was like, B, don't you ever call another grown man a boy. I said, oh, did your granddaddy teach you that?
Right. You offended by something that's irrelevant because here's the deal. If I say boy bye, it's a term that everybody uses. If you're offended, then that's where a conversation.
But he said something funny and I was like, B baby, you know, I was laughing because that HIV shit was rude and his true colors came out.
That's why. That's what I mean. You pay attention. You get to know them. That's all. But the one that you can hold on to is to say, hey, look, I don't really like, being called a boy. We got some memories for me or something like because that's what mature people do. Mature people talk about
Right.
it. Mature people, because even me, when I find a man who don't want to talk about HIV, ass off stay fine. Yeah, we ain't got time because you ain't mature enough. Yeah, when I find a man who don't want to talk about condom, no, he ain't mature enough. It's required in life. It is required.
Oh yeah.
And you can't, yeah, no thank you. No, thank you.
It's required.
Right, no thank you. So what, girl, what you got? What kind of questions you got for me?
Just the standard ones that everybody understands HIV, and basically that they can end up dying from a car accident before they die from HIV. But you still need to get tested, be careful, you know, have the conversation. And you know, protect that for everybody. It's well protected anyway, at least. And even at a certain age where, I don't know, jumping in out just before then just ain't cool.
After some maturity needs to come.
Girl, my acne got bad and stuff. You can't be doing all that.
My knees, my all that. They just ain't. They don't function like they used to.
You know what I'm saying? You
Twerking, I was like, girl, I can't do none of that. Bones,
you can't even do nothing but turn a bird.
bones, honey. They won't let us.
Them knees gonna leave. You ain't got them nagging knees no more.
No, ma'am. It don't work like that, boo, honey.
Look, Megan 25, you might not have a long time either. I did them walk days and them little TikTok challenges. Boy, I couldn't walk for 4 days. Baby, I ain't danced like this in years.
My grandkids is 19. I can't be doing what they done. When your grandkids get to be that age, yeah, no, that's way too much. My grandkids, 15, 17, and 19.
Ooh, young. I'm not a grandmother yet. I'm 41. That don't mean nothing, but I'm not a grandma. My husband said he just got a little puppy and he just I'm ready to rehome the puppy for him. That's why I ain't got kids yet. I ain't got the time. She's 24 and she's not ready for kids.
But that's a good thing. You just make sure you had them pertinent conversations with her, so she can have those pertinent conversations with whoever.
Well, she had a boyfriend for a few years, like 4 years. So she was never into boys like that. My daughter was almost 19 before she even ever went there.
Can I tell you what you just did that so many women do? She been with him for about 4 years. You know how many people? Oh, we married. Do you know how many married people I know? Yeah.
But you know what? I told her one thing about my daughter. You must not thinking about the other person. You right. I left that out.
Got to say that. I had to.
You right. I'm thinking about my girl.
Many people. Well, I asked the lady, I said, so have you been tested? I'm married. I said, what does that mean?
That don't mean
So I
nothing.
told her a story about a young lady, a friend of mine actually. She was pregnant, and she had a husband, a whole husband, and she was at her mom's celebrating. I don't know if it was her. I think it was her birthday, and her
Mm-hmm.
doctor called her cell and told her that she was HIV positive.
Wow.
And so she goes home and she had a conversation with her husband, and he decided to tell her that he was sleeping with me. Now, wouldn't it have been easy to just tell her that before they ever got married? She was the one she was pregnant with was his second child.
Well, yeah, you're right. That's why I was thinking about
I just thought I put that
my child.
that's so into it. But I'm married. But I've been with him for 5 years. I've been with him for girl. That don't mean nothing.
And most of the time, it be the good ones. It be not doing nothing that get messed
If
up.
it's a such thing as good ones, because even the best of them will cheat. I just think that we have to decide that we're going to love ourselves enough to take care of ourselves, and that means having an important conversation. And if he don't care enough to go get tested, you go get tested, and then you withhold from his tail.
Right. So, what else page you on, Kim?
So I'm on, girl. What am I on? All of them. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think all of. I don't even know. I think they all Kim Moon, girl. Do you know?
Yeah, my sis Kim Moon. Find her on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. She is HIV AIDS advocate in Georgia. She almost national. She not national, but she on all the things talking about HIV, and she is. I've learned tonight also a domestic violence survivor. So
Oh yeah.
you know that goes back to why Heal by Grace even came about because we go through so many of these issues, and by count mirrors basically all the stuff that I've been through, but I just don't talk about all of it. But follow Kim Moon. We're gonna bring on the last person that's here before she get out of here. I love you, sis. I love you, and I appreciate you so much for always supporting me.
Of course. Of course. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.
Okay.
Teresa.
Teresa. It's Teresa Smith. Come on over here on the couch, Miss Teresa.
Come on the couch.
Introduce you. Oh, son, my son want his phone, and I'm just.
He's been waiting so patiently.
Y'all
So,
see?
which camera? Either camera? Both cameras? Hello.
Tell them who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name is Teresa Smith. I am a native of Atlanta, so I have to say shout out to Christy. I know she's probably not here, but shout out to Christy from a long time friendship. But I am the founder and CEO of Peaceful Soul Conscious Life Transformation Services. And I consciously call what I do transformation services. A lot of people call it life coaching, but I cannot coach you how to live your best life. But I can certainly help you think consciously how to live your best life. Because we run on autopilot 90% of the time, probably 99% of the time. We run on autopilot and default behaviors. So I just help you consciously think about how you think. And I also am the founder and CEO of the Worthy Woman Initiative Incorporated, which is a program developed to help women to not just learn their value, but define their own worth based on what is important to them. And just listening tonight, I am not a domestic abuse survivor, but I am a sexual abuse survivor. I was molested at the first time at the age of 4, is my earliest recollection, until I was about 11-year-old by a family member that lived in my house.
Oh my God. See, that's that other level of pain.
That is another level of pain. The other level of pain is having a parent that knew you were being molested. In a sense, I felt like a sacrifice of some sort because I was an unwanted child. I was conceived during an affair. So I was an unwanted child. And because I was the unwanted child, I felt like I was sacrificed for that relationship. But the real dagger came at the age of 28 when I was suicidal, the night I was committing suicide, because that was the day my mother told me she not only knew that my brother was molesting me, she also figured that I must have liked it. And
Here you gonna make me
accused
fall
me
off
of
this
liking
couch.
it. And unfortunately, and this is a part of my story that I haven't shared with a lot of people because, like you said, we protect those people because we don't want other people's images of those people to be shattered. So we sacrifice ourselves in the process, and I sacrificed myself for 28 years. But that night, when my mom literally said to me, well, the first time I caught him, which let me know that I was the sacrifice, because you caught him and you didn't protect me, you didn't save me, you didn't help me. So in that space, going back to being promiscuous and being depressed and being suicidal and being all those things, that night I was committing suicide. I literally told God, I do not want to die like this. I do not. I don't want to live like this, but I do not want to die like this. And that night, literally with my joint, my glass of wine, and my bottle of pills, I worked in a rehab. I knew how to commit suicide. I knew how to do it to completion and not have to worry about anything and make it comfortable. Also, almost enjoyable. So I was prepared to do that. But God knew He had a plan for me.
That's right.
And that night, I tell people, I am very dramatic. I am very subdued right now because I'm in your space. But I am some kind of special.
Yes.
And because I'm so dramatic, God deals with me very dramatically. So that night in my tub, my water turned black like tar. While I was in it, I could see it clearly. It was black. And I just remember, I don't want to die like this. And I let the water out, but that was the day that a lot of stuff came out. Whatever went out in that water, whatever turned that water black, it was going down the drain. And I told her at 28 years old, I learned to love me. And that's the same year that my mother died. My mother died a few months after that incident. Not precipitated by something else. A broken heart is really what she died from. But when my mom died, I tell people I couldn't live until she died. I didn't know who Teresa was. And I have an alter ego. My book, my alter ego is Brenda's daughter. She doesn't have a name. She's just Brenda's daughter. And everything Brenda's daughter does is a byproduct of what happened to her throughout her life. But I traveled quite a bit for one of my jobs. I traveled for years extensively. And I would go different places and I would have these conversations with people. And people were saying, that happened to me. And I said, do you talk about it? And I was like, no. So you got to find that space to talk about it. You got to find that space, even if it's just journaling. Well, somebody might read my journal. Well, if they violate you like that, that's a whole special kind of hell I think you got to deal with. But if you write it, it at least is coming out. So I literally write with journals in my car. I probably have 4 of them in my car right now because I give journals. Just write.
Have so many journals.
Just write it out. But I was actually on a personal trip. My sister had graduated with her master's degree. And I flew out to California for her graduation. I was doing a turnaround, just going out for the graduation and come back. But I took a direct flight out, but to get the cheapest flight back, I had to do a layover. And I don't do layovers. I usually don't, but God always has a plan. So I'm at my layover by myself, sitting at my table. But before I knew it, I was sitting at a table with 5 men, 3 black men, 2 white men, talking about being molested. 6 perfectly imperfect strangers in an airport who don't know each other talking about being molested. And we're sharing stories.
Right.
And 2.5 hours later, when my plane gets called, I'm walking to my plane, and just as clearly as we sitting here talking, God says, now do you see?
So had either one of those men been molested?
4 of them had been molested. 1 was speaking on behalf of his sister that had been molested.
Wow.
So, but as I'm walking to my plane, God is saying, I had to let the things happen to you then because I need you now.
That's right.
So we have to find and realize and understand that what we have been through has not been to us. It has been for us. Right. And then what do we do with it? But going back to how do you respond when that thing happens? Do you respond with your default behavior? Because my belief is to get something different, you have to do something different.
That's right.
Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over expecting
again.
a different outcome. But we do it constantly because of our default behavior. This is what I was taught. I've been this way all my life. And we love to reaffirm those things by constantly saying them over and over and over. I'm just like this. Well, you just like that because you choose to be just like that. You just said it. So now you've made that choice. And now you're forcing it on me because you choose to be that way.
Right.
So now what we do is we start to work with default behaviors. That thing that keeps you going back to those toxic relationships.
Ooh,
what
I'm
about me?
Toxic relationships. Ooh. Ooh.
What in me, what vibration am I emitting? Because our presence precedes us.
Well, I thought I had stupid written on my forehead after,
No, it's your vibration.
It was the kids, 3 men that lied to you about how many kids they got. I'm like, what is the world is going on? Like, why lie about something like that? But I mean, when you got that many of them, I would have ran. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, and I got a lot of times we do things again out of fear. Just about everything we do is fear-based because we learned it from somebody else. We didn't learn the experience on our own. And if we did learn it on our own, we still learned it via a situation that usually involves somebody else. So what we learn, we tend to say, okay, well, this is how it is, especially if it's a generational thing, especially if my mama did this, my grandmama did this, my aunt did this. We tend to believe that I'm supposed to do that too. It's generational, or they say, they always say, not contagious. What's the other word? Why can't I think of it? When it's your family has it inherited. I inherited that from my mom. No, you didn't. You made a choice to do that. You don't inherit bad behavior. No. You don't inherit it. We don't inherit that, but we make excuses for it.
It's learned behavior.
It is learned behavior. But again, we have choice.
Because nobody took the time to learn something differently.
Nobody took the time to learn it, but sometimes we're not exposed to it.
Okay, so I made this point one time. You got 5 kids, right? And you teaching your kids to hate Mexicans. Just say hate Mexicans. No harm to nobody. And out of 5 kids, at least one of them kids gonna be like, that ain't right. Somebody gonna always choose to learn something different.
Absolutely.
Is my point. Yeah. And I was just that girl, like just watching my mother follow her mother's footsteps. And me, I don't drink or drug. I don't knock anybody that do because I understand that, I have a soft spot there because it lost my mom. You know what I'm saying? And the pain of losing my mother at 56 was that I wanted to see my mother live. I wanted to see her actually live. But she was so afraid and so ashamed of her story. I sat on the phone hours with her, 2-3 hours at night, just saying, Mama, look, you're still stuck because you haven't forgiven yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to forgive yourself. I said, and when you stop thinking that your story was about you, I tried to encourage her to write a book. I have the name of the book in my phone. She sent it to me where she was going to name the book and everything. So I felt cheated. I felt like that little girl in the spring of 1989 when my mother left. So it's like this time she left me forever. And I don't care what, I can talk about my mama because she's mine. So, even in the time that she wasn't there, I had a praying grandmother, and she taught me to love my mother. And one thing she always told me in doing that, you only get one mama.
Absolutely.
And the day I got that phone call, I felt that I don't have a mother anymore.
I feel that.
My mother didn't pay none of my bills. My mother couldn't pay none of my bills. My mother, beyond when she left in the spring of 1989, beyond that point, when she came back, she was at my high school graduation. Somehow she showed up when I had my baby in the recovery room too. I don't know who let her back there, but she made it there. But she couldn't do anything for me. But I love my mother just as much as the next person who mother has done everything, given them the world. It's like,
because
that's the
we
hard
want that
part
love
I'm having with
back.
accepting it. Yeah.
We want that love back. We want, because there is a law of reciprocity that what you put out should come back to you.
Right.
It does, but we also live in a society that says, be ashamed, stay shamed. Because as long as I can make you shame, I don't have to deal with my own stuff either.
And my mother would drink.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I stopped saying anything about the drinking because I didn't want to make her feel like I was better than her or looking down on her. You know, a lot of things I didn't say to my mother. Like, we didn't talk about the molestation. You know, after all those years, we didn't talk about that because I felt that, and a narcissist can't do this. But I understood that my mental health was in a much better place than my mother's mental health. So what type of person would I be to come saying these things to her that I know she regrets?
In her brokenness.
Yeah. To continue to further break her. So, you know, I had to hold some stuff back, and there's some things that I may not get the answer to. I know I won't. She's gone. But, you know, there's a certain level of love and respect that you have to have for the person that gave you life.
Absolutely.
And I love my mother wholeheartedly. That was my first love. You know, she hurt me. And I did have kind of a wall. Like, I felt so much guilt, but at the same time, I was good to my mom. You know, if I could do it, I did it. And in the end, I did right by my mom. You know, I have to, you know, it wasn't no life insurance or nothing. Like, I buried my mother flat out my pocket. But for me, I'm talking about I was buying jewelry. I was, you know, like this is the last time I get to do anything for my mom. So I went all out. But, you know, I just wish that she could have forgiven herself. My mother apologized to me for 20 years. This year in February, I remember telling her, you don't owe me not another damn apology. You gave me life. And as a mother, it is a hard decision to have to leave your child. But you made an unselfish decision.
Absolutely. That's the key.
You were unselfish. It's love in that.
Absolutely. Yes.
What kind of woman would I have turned out to be if my mother, strung out on drugs, stripping and prostituting, had taken me to the streets of Chicago with her? Sold to the highest bidder. Because my mother was sick. It's an illness.
So you have given her the gift of understanding.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't get that.
I gave her
that's
that.
why people struggle for so long.
It was grace.
Because no one gives them grace, which is the gift of
we
understanding.
Want grace. I'm not a perfect person.
No.
And when I look back, and you know, my mother didn't believe me when this Curly Braden was, you know, I can say it now, you know. When he, you know, hurt me, she didn't believe me. But you got a 5-year-old talking to a 21-year-old.
She believed you. She just couldn't process it.
Right.
She believed you. She knew it happened.
My grandmother processed it real fast.
Right. And that's who you needed then.
She downloaded it.
That's what you needed your grandmother. Because your mother was incapable of processing.
Right.
Because I'm sure through her own experience,
she was incapable of loving herself all the way to the end. And that's why I say now that I am my mother's legacy, because my mother was so proud of me. Even when I was trying to bury her and do all of this stuff, you know, people was just, you know, pulling me to the side and, you know, your mother really loved you. I mean, she loved all her kids, but she really loved you, you know, and, you know, everybody knew my name. So I am her legacy. I'm the life that she never got to the point of understanding that I'm at now, with understanding narcissistic people, for one.
Mm-hmm.
She never got to that. And my mother had some high narcissistic traits, but she was not, she did not lack empathy.
Mm-hmm.
She would not hurt you on purpose, and she kept it 100. But it was just feeling, she would, I could see her looking at me sometime and just feeling like she had just messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine being 16 years old, your mother not in your life, you carrying this child, no drugs or alcohol is going on, and I'm gonna be a better mother than my mother was to me.
Mm-hmm.
I said it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you look back on your life and you failed. You feel like you failed at that. I know it hurt. My mother never had a conversation. My mother never got to spend any time with her real birth mother. My mother never knew who her father was. Mm. She didn't know who she was.
Generational brokenness.
She didn't know who she was. And in the last picture I took with my mom, it was on her couch at her house with her and my dad. And she told my dad when we were walking out the door, she said, "Ain't you proud of what we created?" Mm-hmm. And my dad said that meant so much to him. And my photo shoot for this year, I do a photo shoot every year for my birthday. And this year, I was going to do it for my mama's birthday. I didn't send flowers for Mother's Day. And my mother died May 24th. I woke up that morning and I was like, I'm going to send them flowers anyway. She's going to be happy. I woke up thinking about flowers and sending my mother flowers. Like, I just had forgot. I was messing with my daughter. My daughter, she was doing the DoorDash and all that. And she challenged, she was like, "You too good to do this." And I was like, I bet you I can do it. And so we was competing, and I was so caught up in that with her. And just, I forgot to order the flowers on time. Because I would send my mother flowers, and I would send my best friend, who is deceased now, I would send her mother flowers as well. And I just didn't, get it on time this year. And I was going to send them anyway. And, we were going to do a photo shoot for her birthday this year, because I hadn't did nothing for her birthday since, like, 2016 probably. I didn't hit everything, like every holiday I was, but it was, I did everything I could.
But these right here, these gonna fade away. These be pretty right now. About 6-7 more days, they're gonna be beautiful. Then these just fall off. But you are the flower that goes on and on and on. You are the eternal flower. And guess what you do? As you grow and learn, you start to reseed. Now you're planting your seeds back in ever. So she'll live on. She lives on forever right here. Because again, you'll keep giving, you'll keep telling her story that she was too ashamed to tell. And you will elevate her and ascend her in a place that she never could have gotten in this life.
Yeah. And
so you are freeing her from that through you telling your testimony and giving her honor. Because I will say, for a lot of years, when my mom died, I was very angry. Mm-hmm. So you're in a better place than a whole lot of people, because a lot of people still angry. And what they don't realize is that anger kills them. So when they get these fibroids and they get these lumps and all this different stuff you can't understand, that's that unforgiveness, that's that toxicity.
It was because I was taught to love my mother, and my grandmother never said anything bad about my mother.
Love overcomes everything.
Yeah, she never said anything bad about my mother. And anytime my mother came she opened the door for her.
That is real love. We got love because we love chicken. I don't love chicken. I'm a vegan most of the time. But we love. We have watered down that word so much that when we see real love, we don't even recognize it.
Right.
That's real love. That's what we're supposed to be teaching and pouring into people. But instead, we give them that superficial, vapid, fading love. All of this and all of this, versus giving them this. That thing, that eternal love, that thing that really, really makes you tick and makes you go. So you have given her again, even in death, you're still giving her the gift of life, because you're breathing it through her story every time. So she is right now being venerated through you just giving your testimony. So keep doing that and keep honoring her. And you'll find that feeling that you have, that you think you're holding on to,
And I knew it was time for me to, like I said, today is, 2006 to 2020. What's that, 14 years?
14 years.
So 14 years ago, around the same time, I was standing with a 9mm to my head. And we're in the month of October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'm the founder and CEO of LoveYuna Outreach, which is a nonprofit organization for individuals and families affected by domestic violence. And I just was like, you know what? I have to continue. I have to. So I'm going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep doing, so it's helping me to talk about it. Because other than that, I'll just be laying in that bed. Mm-hmm.
But what you see too is even though I cannot see, I am 52 years old. So my 52-year-old eyes need like 4 pair of glasses to see that screen. But what you're doing, again, is you're planting seeds that help the next woman who may not even realize that she needs help. Because when I remember being molested, I was standing in my kitchen cooking. And I have no idea what triggered it. But I screamed so loud. My daughter was about 4. And I had just gotten divorced from my husband, my first husband. And I was screaming so loud because it felt like someone had hit me in the head with a sledgehammer. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I had fallen out in the floor, and I could, to the point where my 4-year-old called 911. She didn't know what else to do. Because it was coming back in such a way, it was so vivid that I had blocked it out for so long that when it came back, it was almost catastrophic. But it was cathartic. It took a minute for me to process it. But once I did, it was where my healing began. Mm-hmm. So what you're doing now is probably giving somebody a set point for their healing. Mm-hmm. Or at least a new set point. Because sometimes we start healing back here, and then life happens, and then we kind of put it on hold. So we think we're supposed to go back to this place for our healing. But we've kind of grown past where we were when we stopped. So what you need now is a new set point. What do I start from this time? Right. When I try this again. Right. So every time you speak, you're setting your own new set point. And every time you give somebody a platform to hear your story, you're creating them a set point. Right. And that's how we grow from point to point to point versus thinking I got to start at the beginning every single time. Right. Let me start right here where I left off. That part right there, we'll deal with that again. That's why I tell people I couldn't be a counselor. I thought I wanted to be a counselor, but I couldn't, because counselors like to stay in the past. They want to talk about your past for a long time. And I'm not knocking counselors. I'm not. Please don't. But for me, let's say, okay, look, this is where you are right now. You like where you are? Want to be somewhere else? Okay, how we do? What we need to do to get there? How we need to get there? You want to drive? You want to walk? How you want to get there? Let's just go. This part right here, it'll come back as you need it. Mm-hmm. But to just lay there and wallow in it and stew in it and stay there for copious amounts of time, not gonna do that.
And I refuse to let depression win again. My best friend died 37 years old, December 22nd, 2016. It crushed me. It crushed me, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Like, I just didn't know. I didn't understand it. I just like I just didn't know how to deal with it, and I found myself in the worst situation, and then that's how I ended up meeting the last narcissist. And this time it's like, God, you gonna get this lesson this time, because that man was the most malignant, malicious, evil dude I ever dealt with in life. Like, even more so than the dude that was beating me up. This dude was just pure evil. And the betrayal, and just the stuff that it was evil. It was evil. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I started studying, and then I was like, you know what? I gotta that's when I started, spot the narc, save your heart. Yeah. If you can spot the narcissist, you can dodge a real serious bullet, because that bullet burned. Yeah. That bullet burned. But they be putting them little memes up, talk about being shot. Have you ever dated a narcissist? Forget being shot. Have you ever dated a narcissist?
But you live to tell the story.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the important part. You tell the story.
That's right.
And you tell the story so that whoever's sitting there, or however many people watching, they'll decide one day, you know what, I want to tell my story.
I encourage everybody to be free. Be free.
But
because
keep in mind now,
violence, domestic violence, sexual abuse, molestation, all of that stuff thrives in silence. Silence helps it grow.
But you have to remember too that most people have lived with it a long time, right? So anything you do for a long time becomes comfortable. Even if it's not a comfortable comfort, it becomes comfortable. So what do? I stay in this comfort that I don't like, that I know, versus jumping into this comfort that I don't know. I don't even know that's going to be comfortable. I might go over there and it might be worse than here. So I'll just stay here in this crazy that I know versus trying this thing that's going to free me.
I was there for a long. I mean,
I can't talk about what I don't know
in 2015. Matter of fact, this same day, 5 years ago, is when I told my story.
This is the first time I've ever told anybody outside of my close circle. That it was my brother. I never tell anybody it was my brother. I just tell people I was molested by a family member.
Wow.
This is the first time I've ever actually said it, because again, I always wanted to protect him, and I never talk about my mother's role because I always want to protect her legacy.
So and my mother was happy about me writing the book.
But that was very freeing for you to say that earlier, because I had to kind of take a step back and say, okay, you know what? You do protect them.
And I wasn't even really protecting him. It was just I was protecting my brother. Because
well, my molester was my brother. So
that's what I'm saying. And see, and like I said, that's a whole nother level. See, that's another level of pain. Like this person had no obligation to me. Rhonda, it was her father. It was your brother. I had several people, uncles violate nieces all the time, and sometimes nephews too. So that's another. Like, that's mind-boggling.
But what I think really makes it worse, in my opinion, for me, is that everybody knows that creepy uncle or that, that weird family member that, all the kids know that's the one who will touch you kind of funny, but nobody, they make jokes about it maybe, but nobody actually does anything about it. So again, now, to me, you're sending kids to the sacrifice if you're doing that. Because this person, even if they're not actively doing anything, they have the propensity to do it. But you send your kids, go over there and hug Uncle so-and-so. What? Remember when you hugged him and he, might have squeezed you a little too tight or, kissed you a little, and you send your child over there to do the same thing? So again, we know these things are happening in our families, but we keep them the secret because, again, of the shame that is attached to it versus saving our babies, saving ourselves, saving our families. So we have to be more open to talk about this thing and allow the space and the grace for that person that was you that said, hey, this happened. And nobody believed it. I just want to tell nobody because I was just a child nobody believed anyway. So, yeah.
I had a big mouth. I know.
Well, I grew up in the more of the what happens in my house stays in my house. Don't talk about what happens, all that kind of stuff. That's what we did.
So tell them where they can find you at. We got carried away, y'all. It's 10:22. We've been out there 10.
Yes, so I am on Facebook at The Peaceful Soul. That is Peaceful Soul Conscious Life Transformation Services. I am on Instagram at Peaceful Soul Life. And the Worthy Woman Initiative, which I'm so excited about, is brand new, but it is a speeding bullet on the move, and it is to help women through all phases of life from the age of 12 to death. So we are going to help my 12-year-old self all the way up to the other grown women, because I always wish I had somebody to talk to.
Oh yeah, I listen. I wish I had a me.
Yeah.
On
absolutely
on the journey, because I've done so much, and man.
But now you're there to help save somebody else.
Oh yeah, and you have to rid toxic people of your life. Like you have to get rid of toxic people, because in me studying and finding out the narcissists as far as dating and stuff, I was able to identify the people in my life who I was not dating that were narcissists. And it's crazy. it blew my mind. And I was like, I mean, and one of them was, shoot, almost 30-year friendship. And listen,
Yeah.
I had to let, when my mama died, those true colors came out. You know, the words were said to me. You know, I've done enough. You know, how much do you do when, you know, somebody you love lose their mom? Oh, we writing it down, we measuring it, you know, like. But I had already figured it out. But I was at a point where I lost my mom. I flipped out. I talked some noise. But you know, anybody could get it. My mama had just died. Like, yeah. So I'm gonna tell that story another day. But so this has been Healed by Grace Empowerment Series, Mississippi, virtual. Hopefully when we can go back outside, I will be making my way home. Yeah, I'll be making my way home to do an event, a face-to-face event. So hope everybody enjoyed it. You can go back and watch the live, share the live. I'm finna eat. I'm hungry. Your host, Keyuna Faye Webster, Empowerment for the Power. Let me see if I can read some of these comments. So the show over with. So I'm gonna talk a little bit. I'm ready to eat. I'm hungry. Let me see if I can read some of these comments. Hey, Miss Jones. Hey, Tree Tree. Going in and out. Oh, we fixed it. That's old. Y'all miss somebody. She said she's going back to her some watch party. Thank you, Miss Sheila. Yeah. So tonight we had on Miss Beth Goodman, who is a breast cancer survivor. Phone went dead. We're not virtual girls. We actually show up in the building, but you know it was a needed conversation. We had Christy Sims, my sister friend. She is an acid survivor. She was doused with acid by her abuser, her narcissistic abuser, in 2013. He's doing 20 years behind that. She went global after he doused her with acid. And it's crazy. He tried to take her out, but all he did was elevate her. Then we had my sister friend Kim Moon, who's HIV and AIDS advocate. She does live with HIV due to sexual assault. She was raped. And I learned tonight that she's also a domestic violence survivor. So, yeah. But if you don't do anything else, write down the word narcissistic abuse. And look it up. Look, you know, read up on narcissistic people, and I promise you'll start to identify some people in your life that did some funny, shady, crazy stuff, and you just didn't understand it. And here you are, just still pouring water in a glass, and it's leaking out all sides. So, narcissistic abuse is the word. I may come back on live in a little bit. Just do a little late night session for those that be up at night like me. We get me some notes together because I just came on. I really didn't do any notes. I'm still grieving a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, but I still have to honor the calling that God's placed on my life. So I'm gonna get me something to eat, and I might come back. Yeah, I'm brace free, y'all. The braces came off today. So, yeah. All right, catch up. Let me share these live, answer some questions. Yeah, I might be back. Good night. Bye. Thank y'all for joining Healed by Grace.